Beep, beep, beep. How you doing, peapods? Welcome to the Court of the Digester. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you may be. What have I got for you today? Well, we have another episode of Fisk Investigates. Caroline's been at it again. And has brought to my attention a rather marvellous article in the Torygraph, which is concerning because it feels strangely anachronistic. And I say that for a reason. Because, you know, people ought to be getting it by now, and it appears like they're not. And here we are. We're well into 2024 now, at least 50 hours. Come on, you lot, you can do better. So it's very, very galling to see this coming from a council. Now, it's a Labour council, admittedly, so I'm sort of like, oh, right, okay. But it does feel anachronistic. It's like they haven't had the memo. Because what we're saying is here, Caroline is saying, certainly in her investigations, is that now Camden Council, which is a Labour council, demands that companies in its supply chain prove their commitment to harmful, unscientific gender claptrap. This isn't chance, it's compliance to Stonewall via its Workplace Equality Index. Well, this is important for a number of reasons, not least of all Manchester's doing a similar thing. So we're going to have to watch the Labour councils because they are taking Stonewall and moving it down the line of procurement. Now, what I mean by that is, let's say I'm Joe Blogg's cleaning company, right, who want Manchester tender for cleaning. So they go, or Camden for that matter, right? Wanted, cleaning firm to manage council houses, budget 1.5 million, whatever it may be. And you won't get it if you don't agree with Stonewall. You won't get it unless you subscribe to it all, right? Okay? So there's an article from the Telegraph in the Dubris for you to have a look at. Labour Council will check companies' LGBT credentials before hiring them. Camden says it will use its position of power, its procurement process, to promote greater inclusion. See, it's on my mind. A London council has demanded that companies in the supply chain prove their commitment to approved LGBT inclusion values. Labour-run Camden Council has introduced a range of measures to ensure that its internal policies and processes are inclusive. Camden will use its position of power to insist that outside businesses demonstrate their commitment to approved values in order to be commissioned. So it has now, they've already done this with UKRI, which is the university funding pod has already fallen for this, right? So this is the councils are doing it now to make sure that small firms or any firms that want to work for them, and often, public sector is a driver of economic progress. It's a driver of people starting businesses, getting involved in their communities. Well, now you can't do it in Camden unless you bow down and, snuffle gobble Stonewall's knob and cobblers, right? So unless you do that, you ain't going to get any money off Camden Council. Now, I'm switching between this article, which is in the Dubris, and also the tweet from Caroline, which is also in the Dubris, so you can follow along. So what Caroline is saying here, or Caroline said, Camden Council pays Stonewall to compete for its ranking, right? It's 47th in Stonewall list of top employers for LGBTQ plus people, ranking first out of all council entrants in England. The list is available, as Caroline says. And they see it as huge progress, right? Being part of Stonewall, huge progress. Holy shit. You see what I mean? Is it me or does it feel like they didn't get the memo? The full set of requirements, wait for it, this is Caroline Fisk Investigates. The full set of requirements stretch across 32 pages of demands that erase women's rights and safety, override established language and undermine freedom and fair democratic workplace processes. An example of the madness, imagine trying to give one person two entirely separate identities in the workplace, including email accounts. Caroline says it's unhinged and erasing the identification of sex from the workplace. This is actually what they've got in their policies, does the organisation, so you're Mr. Smith's cleaners, right? Does the organisation enable non-binary employees to have their identities recognised on all employee-facing workplace systems? So they're bringing the LGBTQ people, totalitarian women in nonsense, and they're enforcing it down the supply line, and I think that's in direct contradiction of their public sector equality duty, because LGBTQ people right, are totalitarian hard left wibblers, right, who don't know what the hell they're talking about. Right, that's what it is, I think. And I need to stop saying right. That's what I think it is. And then they say what we're looking for from a company. So if you're, Mr. Smith's Cleaners, 2 or more examples of mechanisms that support non-binary identities. Examples can include the option to choose a gender marker rather than male or female. This is absolutely Labour-run council, Camden, right, using Stonewall's framework to enforce a political hard-left ideology on businesses in Camden. Because you won't get to compete fairly if you're tendering for work, if this is what's occurring. Because you'll have to, do all the LGBTQ nonsense. Caroline continues, it's quite a thread. The workplace might bombard you with unhinged communications, says Caroline. Just insane. What we're looking for, this is 2.6 in their documentation. Communications that have been sent or made available to all employees, as many as geographically possible, through the specific communication method. In your uploaded evidence, please make clear how many employees have the communications reached. Information about, and then there's a list. Information about LGBTQ plus identities and experiences, information about bi identities and experiences, information about trans identities and experiences, information about non-binary identity. This is what they do, you see. They are the thieves of time. Now, you need to go and have a look at it yourself. The links are all in the doobries, as they say. I can't, it's just, when is the government going to step in and enforce the public sector equality duty? You cannot support all this crap and be doing equality of opportunity. You simply can't. So, who enforces the public sector equality duty? Somebody must be responsible. Who? He says, having a tea and a chat with you lot. Somebody must be responsible. You need to go and have a look at this because there's a lot more there. Caroline has, given us a nice number of tweets to get our teeth into. And also you can see the Telegraph article about what Camden Council are up to. But make no bones about it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the plan. And it's not just the plan for Camden. Not just EDI, Equality, Diversity and Inclusion, which is actually diversity, inclusivity and equity, will steal your time and your money. If you're a small business that's trying to get ahead, I've been through this myself. So, there's only me, bear that in mind. But I quite happily go, right, okay, let's get 4 or 5 people together to do something. So I tried to tender for a government thing, going a little back a little while, Got 10 pages in, and then I turned the next page, or I clicked and I went to the next part of the process. And it said, please provide bank statements to show you have £250,000 in the bank. At every juncture, they will try to exclude anybody who doesn't fit what criteria they think you should have. And that will include belief in gender identity, ideology, queer theory, and the ascendancy of LGBTQ plus nonsense in your workplace in order to tender for public sector work, which means that the public sector will now only fund businesses that are absolutely hard left, anti-women, anti-gay, anti-reality, anti-enlightenment, and pro-nonsense. That's what will end up happening. This is communism in action. That's what it is. It's what they do. They infiltrate, they take over. There's a creature called the ichneumon fly. You ever heard of it? Lays its eggs in the caterpillar and kills the caterpillar. Same thing. Right? Same thing. That's what this is. Don't believe me, Dr. Jones? You will. Oh, it's all a bit cult-like, isn't it? It's almost like there's a cult. Well, you go and have a look and see. Tell me what you think. I'm like, oh yeah, this is so real now. We need to stop this. 4 years of Labour hell coming, just for starters, 4 or 5 years, and then another 4 or 5 after that. Oh God, I sat down the other day with a friend and went, my God, I'll be in my 70s before we get even vaguely a chance of hoping that we get back on the right track before we destroy the entire Western civilization for the young people that are growing up. That's how close we are. And I believe that. But you tell me. In the doobries, have a look at Caroline Fisk's work, Fisk Investigates, and see what you think. Okay, I'll catch you later. Thanks very much.